Hello everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. My name is Jhett Hill and I'm a senior in high school. I'm also a member at UCG. The stories we'll be reading here today came about from a school project in the 7th and 8th grade. They evolved into the officially published children's books we see here today. I was motivated to publish them during quarantine as we all saw the unkind and bullying coming from the political world, as well as the racial injustices happening all over our country. The themes of kindness and inclusivity are lessons that children and adults alike can practice in their everyday lives. I'm so thankful that the Children's Ministry has invited me to share my stories with you today. Thank you and enjoy the read. So this is my story, Billy and Penelope. It's dedicated to all the creatures and humans that have been bullied or treated unkindly. Billy the Bull lives in a big barn in Baltimore. He is the biggest calf on his farm and he knows it. Billy makes the smaller farm animals do what he wants and he is very mean to them. But Penelope the pig gets the very worst of Billy's unkind behavior and bullying. Billy calls Penelope mean names every day. One time, Billy even bumped Penelope right into the mud, head first, on purpose. But Penelope the pig is always sweet. She is known all around the farm for her kind and forgiving heart. One day, Billy's mother, Claire the cow, came down with a sickness called the bovine flu. Billy was very upset about this. He hoped and prayed that she would get better soon. But she didn't. After about a week of his mother being sick, Billy had lost all hope that she would ever get better. He was sad and depressed. And here we see Billy crying about his very sick mother. The next day, Billy and Penelope, or should I say Penelope and Billy, were at the same barnyard playground at the same time. When they saw each other, Penelope looked away to avoid Billy. But Penelope noticed that Billy didn't have his usual mean grimace. Instead, he just looked incredibly sad. Just as Penelope was about to go over and ask Billy what's wrong, she remembered all the unkind things Billy had said or done to her. She did not know what to do. After a few minutes of thinking and checking in with her heart, Penelope decided that comforting him with kindness was the right thing to do. So, she went over to where Billy was gloomily hanging his head as he sat on the bench and talked to him about what he was feeling. Both of them felt much better after their heartfelt chat. Penelope was glad that she could cheer Billy up and help him regain hope that his mother would get better. Billy also realized something very important during his chat with Penelope. He should always be kind to everyone because he liked the way it felt to be treated kindly. He then made a mental note to be nice to everybody from now on. He wanted everyone to know the same warm feeling he experienced after being treated kindly. By the way, Claire, Billy's mother, regained full health and they all lived happily ever after. Thank you, and that was Billy and Penelope. So, I hope the lesson that you received from Billy and Penelope is that of the golden rule. If you treat others the way that you want to be treated, then good things will come your way. Treating others with kindness and love is always your best bet and you will be very happily surprised with how your life goes on. This is my second story, Griffin and Shelley, A Tale of Togetherness. And this book is dedicated to all the creatures and humans that have been excluded because of their differences. Griffin the goat also lives in Baltimore. His home is on a farm with his mother Grace and father Garrett. Griffin's parents have always told him that turning 3 is a big step in growing up. He will be able to go outside on his own and play with the other animals. Griffin gets to go outside of his pen every day, but he has to be with his parents. Griffin is looking for a little independence. Every day he sees the same thing. The older animals only play with their own kind. We see the chickens are on this side of the fence and all the pigs are on this side, on the close side of the fence. Griffin wondered why this was. He decided to ask his father, "Dad, why don't the sheep and the chickens and the cows ever play together?" "Well, Griff," says his father, "that is just how it has always been. The chickens play with the chickens, the cows play with the cows, and so forth." Griffin felt immediately that this wasn't right. He vowed to make friends with all types of animals once he could leave the pen on his own. He became even more excited for his 3rd birthday than ever before. On the morning of his all-important 3rd birthday, Griffin woke up with a smile on his little furry face. He would soon be leaving the pen on his own. Then, when Griffin left his pen, he immediately had the urge to sprint off and play with the other animals. Griffin then recalled there were no other goats on the farm to play with, so he decided sheep were the most similar to himself, and off he went. As he scampered off, he turned to his parents and told them, "I'll be back soon," as he headed for the group of sheep across the farm's big field. And here we see Griffin, very excited, zooming off towards them. When he began running around with the sheep, all of them stopped. The biggest sheep in the group confronted Griffin. Shaka the sheep said in a deep voice, "No goats are allowed to play with us. Sheep only." Griffin felt like he had been punched in his feelings. He didn't understand why Shaka wouldn't let him play with them just because he was different. Griffin walked home sadly, and here we see Griffin, heartbroken, running away in tears. When Griffin arrived home, he put on a brave face. After wiping away his tears, he told his parents that he had had a fun time, but his feelings were still very hurt. Griffin cried all throughout the next morning. He wanted to stay in his pen the whole day, and this is even after he was so excited to be independent every day before. After what seemed like forever, Griffin heard a sheep's voice from outside the barn. The voice gently called, "Griffin, are you home?" Griffin moped around the barn's corner and saw Shelley the sheep. Shelley said, "Hey Griff, sorry about Shocky yesterday. He can be a real bully." "Oh, that's okay, Shelley. It's not your fault," Griffin replied. Much to Griffin's delight, Shelley then asked if Griffin wanted to play. Griffin replied, "Of course." He felt a rush of happiness. They ran around, jumped, skipped, nibbled the grass, and had so much fun together. A chicken came from around the corner and gasped. He said, "Shelley, you're a sheep, and he's a goat." Shelley replied, "So what? We're all on the same farm, or we are all the same. We are all animals who live together." And then the chicken had a little bit of questioning of himself to do. Should I play too? The chicken realized Shelley was right. There was no reason to not interact with those different from you. the chicken started playing with Shelly and Griffin. It was just as fun as playing with his own chicken friends. Before they knew it, all types of animals were coming over to play with them. All of them were happy and playing together. Shelly and Griffin had united the farm's young animals. They had bonded as the best of friends and lived happily ever after. Thank you for listening again, and this was Griffin and Shelly, A Tale of Togetherness. Like the title implies, Griffin and Shelly is in fact a tale of togetherness. When personal prejudices and exclusivity are dropped, everyone can see the true beauty of uniqueness. Children and adults alike can take away the benefit of being open and accepting to those who are different from us.